Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with works I just never really got until I heard the version by... Well, the work in question is one that many of you mentioned, and I'm on the same page with all of you. It was Beethoven's Missa Solemnis, also known as the Missa Atrocious, the Missa Emphaticus, the Missa Deciduous, you name it. It's tough. It's a tough piece. Now, most late Beethoven is difficult. It truly is. I mean, I could also be talking about the late quartets, the late sonatas, a lot of other things, But those all eventually grew on me, maybe because they didn't have words, maybe because I don't know why. I don't know why, but the Missa Solemnis was a chore. It really was. It just seems to go on and on and on, and it's not catchy. It's not catchy in the way that even his most, abstruse late works are. I mean, even the Grosse Fuga is catchy. It may catch you by the throat and leave you dead and bleeding, but it's catchy. You know what I mean? The Missa Solemnis, I mean, even the beautiful violin preambulum thing and in the Benedictus or whatever it is, it just doesn't go there for me. And it never did. It's not because it's a liturgical work. It's not because it's a Catholic Mass and I'm not Catholic. I mean, I spent my life in choirs singing Catholic Masses. I love Haydn's Masses. I love the Gounod St. Cecilia Mass. I love lots of people's Masses. I like all kinds of Catholic liturgical music. I have no issue with that whatsoever. It's just the work itself. It's the music. It's not the text. It's the music. It sounds like so much late Beethoven as if it's straining for some sort of cosmic transcendence, which I think is intentional. I mean, I think that's what Beethoven was trying to do. But the means that he uses are so limited. There were things I always found disappointing about it, especially reading. I tried to read analyses. I read Donald Tovey's analysis of the work, which is brilliant. And he talks about the words, I think, Pater Omnipotens in the Gloria, the full orchestra with trombones and organ comes roaring in. I never heard that. I mean, I hear it's like a climax, but I expect more richness, more opulence to the sound. And it doesn't ever seem to quite get there. Beethoven's vocal writing is strenuous to the nth degree. It's difficult, and it sounds it. And you can tell. And I don't think that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you hear this sort of constant straining. And the writing for the four soloists is hideous. I mean, it's just hideous. There is something that absolutely turns me off about that ugly solo quartet writing, that it's not just Beethoven who does it. Lots of people do it in choral works. I mean, you always have like a 4-part chorus and then a 4-part solo, and they alternate. And the solos are just, something's always wrong with the way they sound. It's just never did it for me. There were performances I recognized as very good. I mean, Leonard Bernstein was a very good Missa Solemnis guy. The Klemperer recording is marvelous, but they all left me wanting. They really did. And I blame it squarely on Beethoven himself. Partly his deafness, partly his attempting to exceed the bounds of what other composers had done, which he did. I mean, he did, but I never had a problem with like the B minor Mass by Bach, which is bigger and longer and sounds just fabulous. It's never been an issue. The Missa Solemnis was an issue until I heard the recording. It's a live recording performance. It's on YouTube, by the way, featuring George Szell and the Cleveland Orchestra that was released as part of the George Szell commemorative edition by the Cleveland Orchestra that had all kinds of live things that he never recorded. Oh my God. Now that takes the Missa Solemnis where Beethoven is trying to go. And even Szell risks spinning entirely out of control, particularly at the end of the Gloria, which is prestissimo with the Robert Shaw trained choir, which is amazing. I mean, everyone is just hanging on for dear life. I was so thrilled that somebody realized the physicality of the music. It's so not church-like, that performance. It's odd that something can be transcendental or sound transcendental by not trying to be transcendental, by not being self-consciously, saccharine sanctimonious, a la Herbert von Karajan, you know what I mean? Or religious sounding. It didn't need any of those things. He just goes for the jugular and forces his players to do what Beethoven wants them to do. It's an extremist performance of an extremist work. It's really that simple. And after that, after I sort of knew what the work could be, I was able to enjoy a lot of other performances, from the last Nicholas Harnoncourt, which is very soft-edged and it seems sweetly religious almost for that work, to the Klemperer, which is of course much slower, but typically Klemperer, unsentimental and stoic and granitic, to those Bernstein recordings, to Toscanini's, to all kinds of people's Missa Solemni. Actually started to make sense to me. I began to enjoy differing perspectives on the work, but I had to find a performance that really tried to go there, to take me there, to show me that yes, there is that outrageousness to the music, and Szell wasn't afraid to realize that. And I think that really sold me on the piece. After that, I felt like I could listen to the rest of them and enjoy them and enjoy the work, because I had it in my head. I had it figured out to a degree. And I think that's true of a lot of music. You can, once you find a performance that really clicks for you, that really gives you a basis for knowing what the music is or what it could be or how it should sound, you can then enjoy many other interpretations without having to be all that critical of the piece itself. You can criticize the interpretations, but you begin to understand what the music wants to do, and you value different versions for how far they get you there, or what aspects of the work they bring out. And that for me worked for the Missa Solemnis. It was Szell in Cleveland. Wow, what an unbelievable performance that is. So I would go listen to that if I were you, if you're having trouble with the Missa Solemnis. I think it may just bring the whole work into focus for you. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.